Hey there, it's Mindy, and welcome back to my channel. Lately, I've gotten so much inspiration for my home decor from Anthropologie, and while I love the boho style of a lot of their products, their prices just don't fit in my budget. So today I'm sharing two DIY decor pieces inspired by Anthropologie Decor. If this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe for lots of DIY decor ideas on a budget. Let's get started. For my first project, I used this shallow garden dish from Dollar Tree, this macrame cord, and a hot glue gun. I started by making a small coil with the cord and using the hot glue I glued it together while wrapping along the edge of the cord. You'll want to be generous with the glue here so the coil does not unravel. Once I had about a nickel-sized coil, I attached this to the center of the garden dish using the hot glue. At this point, I added this multi-grip glue along with the hot glue for a lasting hold. You'll want to make sure the rope is being glued to the dish as well as to itself so that there are no gaps. I did this until I had completely covered this clear dish. When I got to the edge of the dish, I doubled the rope so that the dish cannot be seen from the front. I drew the design lightly onto the cord using a pencil and painted in all the details. For this, I'm just using acrylic paints, and I will go ahead and list all the paints that I used in the description box if you are interested. If you are not comfortable freehanding this design or any design that you wanted to use, you could easily create a template and cut it out onto paper and then just use that to trace. I will say it's easy to try and use something bigger to fill in these shapes, which I did try to do with a makeup sponge, but I found that using a small brush made it easier to get inside those gaps in the rope. This is one of those projects where you'll want to put on your favorite music or podcast and get comfortable. But I just love how this faux hanging basket turned out. It's neutral, but also adds so much texture, which is perfect for the modern boho style that I'm going for in my living room. And I wanted to get as close to the Anthropologie piece, which is why I use these paint colors, but you could easily use any colors that match your home decor to make this custom for you. I'm going to be adding this basket onto a shelf, which I'm currently working on making for my living room wall, and it's going against I just did an accent wall in like a terracotta color, which I'll show you with the next project, but it's gonna really pop against this wall, I think. And I'll show you the final look in just a second, but I am so in love with how this turned out. I think I'm gonna make maybe one or two more. My second project is a hanging planter, and for this I used the bottom half of one of those popular surprise eggs. If you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. And this suede lace cord. So to start, I marked 3 evenly spaced spots to create holes, and those will be the openings for the hanging part. So I was going to leave this out, but I wanted to share the process I went through to get these holes in this thick plastic. I tried with my glue gun, thinking that the heat would do it. That didn't work. And I also tried the sharp end of a compass, but that didn't work either. So I did that until I remembered that I had this awl, which is a tool that's used for making holes in leather, and this worked perfectly. You see me using my glue gun again, but that didn't even touch it. If you have like a wood burning tool or some other kind of sharp heating tool, that should work just fine for getting a hole in this type of plastic. But anyway, at first I spray painted the egg, but I ran out of spray paint, and so I mixed up some red, brown, and white chalk paint to get this sort of taupe color, which I painted on the outside and inside of the egg. I cut the suede cord into 3-foot long pieces, and I cut 3 pieces for each opening. Once I fed the pieces into each opening, I tied them in a knot on the inside, and I did have to enlarge the openings just a little bit to get them all through, but once I had them in, I tied them off, and then I braided the 3 strands together. I will say this suede is very delicate and it tears easily, so I took my time feeding them through the holes because it was pretty tight. So, and also, if you're doing this, you want to braid very loosely so that you don't lose any of the length. And once I had all 3 braids done, I tie them in a knot at the top. And now for the fun part of this planter. To get the terrazzo look, like the Anthropologie planter that I wanted to recreate, I used 4 different acrylic paints and pieces of a makeup sponge. And I just used like a corner of the sponge to dab on each color. And I wanted the pattern to look random, but I was still very intentional about the spacing and the placement of each little spot for each color. So you'll see here, I'm trying to create like a random pattern, but also be intentional about spreading the colors around the entire planter. This planter works perfectly hanging in this corner of my living room against that terracotta wall that I told you about. And I added some artificial ivy. This is actually a garland that I cut apart to create the look I wanted. But I plan on adding a mix of real and fake plants in this room so I don't have the pressure of keeping a bunch of plants alive. And here are the side-by-side comparisons of my Anthropologie Decor DIYs. Leave me a comment letting me know which one was your favorite, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already for more home decor on a budget. Thanks for watching.